You just spent $60 feeding your family at a chain restaurant. The food was mediocre, the service was slow, and you left feeling like you got ripped off. Sound familiar? You're not imagining it. America's most popular restaurant chains have been running the same scam for years, and most people don't realize how badly they're being played. These restaurants have mastered the art of convincing you that eating out is worth the money. They use psychological tricks, marketing manipulation, and carefully engineered atmospheres to distract you from the truth. You're paying premium prices for food you could have made better at home for a fraction of the cost. This isn't about being anti-restaurant. This is about exposing the specific chains that have crossed the line from providing value to straight up robbing customers. Today, we're calling out 6 of the worst offenders. Once you see their tactics laid bare, you'll think twice before wasting your money at these places again. Number 6. Olive Garden, the Italian food fraud. Let's start with America's favorite Italian restaurant. Olive Garden is not Italian. It's an American chain serving microwaved, frozen food disguised as Italian cuisine, and they're charging you $18 per plate for the privilege. Those never-ending breadsticks? They're the psychological bait that makes you overlook everything else. The breadsticks cost Olive Garden maybe 15 cents each to produce, but they keep you distracted while you pay $16 for pasta that came from a bag. The unlimited soup and salad? Same strategy. Fill you up on cheap carbs so you don't notice the entree quality. The pasta dishes are the biggest scam. Former employees have repeatedly exposed how Olive Garden's kitchen is really just a reheating station. Pasta gets boiled, sure, but the sauces arrive in bags from a central facility. Your handmade fettuccine Alfredo? The sauce was made weeks ago in a factory, frozen, shipped, and microwaved before being poured over pasta. Even the chicken and seafood are suspect. The chicken arrives pre-cooked and frozen. The shrimp is tiny, farm-raised, and loaded with preservatives. Nothing about Olive Garden is authentic Italian cooking. It's cafeteria food with better plating. And the price is absolutely insulting. You're paying $18 to $24 for pasta dishes that cost maybe $3 to $5 to produce. A box of pasta is $2 at the grocery store. A jar of decent sauce is $4. You could make the same meal at home for under $10 and it would taste better because it's actually fresh. One viewer calculated it perfectly. I spent $73 at Olive Garden for my family. When I got home, I realized I could have bought the ingredients for the same meals for $22 at the grocery store. I paid $51 extra for microwaved food and unlimited breadsticks. Never again. The tour of Italy is particularly offensive. 3 mediocre items on one plate for $20. You're getting small portions of chicken parm, fettuccine alfredo, and lasagna, all of which taste like they came from the same vat of generic Italian seasoning. It's the illusion of variety at a massive markup. Number 5. Red Lobster, the seafood scam. Red Lobster wants you to think you're getting fresh seafood at reasonable prices. You're getting frozen, low-quality seafood at outrageous markups. Those fresh-from-the-boat vibes are pure marketing fiction. The lobster, their signature item, is frozen. It arrives at restaurants frozen solid and gets thawed in coolers before being cooked. There's nothing fresh about it. The same lobster you're paying $35 for at Red Lobster costs $12 at the grocery store, and you could cook it better at home with minimal effort. The endless shrimp promotion seems like a great deal until you see what you're actually getting. Tiny, farm-raised shrimp that cost Red Lobster maybe 50 cents per serving. They can afford to give you unlimited shrimp because the profit margins are astronomical even when you eat 3 or 4 servings. And those shrimp are pumped full of preservatives and sodium. Each serving has 800 milligrams or more of sodium. The Cheddar Bay biscuits are another distraction technique. Like Olive Garden's breadsticks, they're cheap to produce and keep you occupied while you overlook the mediocre seafood. Those biscuits cost maybe 20 cents each to make, but create the impression of value and generosity. Red Lobster's fish quality is also questionable. The tilapia is farm-raised in conditions you don't want to know about. The salmon is Atlantic farm-raised, which is code for lower quality. The fresh fish has been frozen for weeks during transport and storage. Real fresh fish tastes completely different from what Red Lobster serves. Former employees have shared the truth. Everything came frozen. The lobster, the fish, even some of the sides. We weren't cooking seafood. We were thawing and reheating. The only fresh thing in that kitchen was the lettuce for salads, and even that came pre-washed in bags. And the prices are pure robbery. A lobster tail dinner costs $35 to $40. You could buy two lobster tails at the store for $15, make sides for $5, and have a better meal for half the price. The markup at Red Lobster is based entirely on people not knowing how cheap seafood actually is when you buy it yourself. Number 4. Chipotle, the fresh lie. Chipotle built their entire brand on food with integrity and fresh ingredients. The reality doesn't match the marketing. While Chipotle is marginally better than some chains, they've been cutting corners and raising prices while pretending nothing changed. The portions have shrunk dramatically over the past 5 years. That burrito bowl that used to be overflowing now barely fills the container. Employees are trained to be stingy with portions, especially on expensive items like meat, cheese, and guacamole. You're getting 30% to 40% less food than you did a few years ago, but paying 50% more. The price increases are insane. A basic burrito that cost $7 in 2019 now costs $12 to $15 depending on location. That's not inflation, that's greed. The ingredient costs haven't doubled, but Chipotle sure is charging like they did. They're banking on customers being too loyal to notice or care. The quality has declined too. The chicken is often dry and overcooked. The rice is frequently undercooked or mushy. The vegetables are inconsistent, sometimes fresh, sometimes clearly from the bottom of a container that's been sitting for hours. The uniformity that made Chipotle reliable has disappeared. And the fresh claim, mostly marketing. Yes, they prepare ingredients daily, but those ingredients arrive pre-washed, pre-cut, and pre-marinated from central facilities. The actual cooking at your local Chipotle is minimal. They're assembling pre-made components, not preparing fresh food from scratch. One former employee exposed it. Corporate kept pushing us to use less of everything. Smaller scoops of rice, less meat, skimpy on cheese. Meanwhile, prices kept going up. Customers were paying more for less, and management celebrated it as improving margins. It was straight up stealing from customers. For the price of one Chipotle burrito, you could buy chicken, rice, beans, and vegetables at the grocery store and make 4 burritos at home. The math doesn't work anymore. Chipotle crossed the line from reasonable fast casual pricing to borderline robbery. Number 3. The Cheesecake Factory. The menu from hell. The Cheesecake Factory loves to brag about their massive menu with something for everyone. That menu is a red flag. No restaurant can do 250 plus dishes well. What you're getting is frozen, pre-made food, heated to order and plated to look impressive. The portion sizes are deliberately oversized to distract from quality issues. Your plate arrives overflowing with food, and you think you're getting great value. But it's not about value, it's about overwhelming you so you don't notice the chicken tastes like it came from a bag or the pasta sauce is generic and watery. Almost everything is pre-made at central facilities and shipped frozen. The cooks at Cheesecake Factory are really just food assembly workers following reheating instructions. They're not chefs crafting dishes, they're microwaving components and arranging them on oversized plates. The prices are absolutely outrageous. Entrees range from $17 to $35 for food that costs maybe $5 to $8 to produce. That's a 300% to 400% markup for food that isn't even freshly prepared. You're paying sit-down restaurant prices for glorified TV dinners. And let's talk about those famous cheesecakes. They're not made in-house, they arrive frozen from a central bakery. Your $8 slice of cheesecake was made weeks ago in a factory and has been sitting frozen until you ordered it. You can buy better cheesecake at the grocery store for half the price. The menu size also creates massive food waste. With 250 plus items, ingredients don't turn over quickly. Things sit in coolers for days or weeks. The food quality suffers, but Cheesecake Factory bets you won't complain because you're overwhelmed by the portions and the atmosphere. One viewer did the math. I spent $89 for 2 people at Cheesecake Factory. We left with leftovers but felt gross from the heavy, oversalted food. I realized I could have made the same meals at home for $25, controlled the ingredients, and had better tasting food. That was my last visit. Number 2. Buffalo Wild Wings, the wing markup scam. Buffalo Wild Wings built an empire on chicken wings. Wings are the cheapest protein available, and they're charging you premium prices while serving inconsistent quality in a sports bar atmosphere that distracts from the food. Chicken wings cost restaurants $1 to $2 per pound wholesale. Buffalo Wild Wings charges $13 to $18 for 10 wings, which is maybe half a pound of actual meat. That's a 600% to 900% markup on the cheapest protein in the industry. You're being absolutely robbed. The wing quality varies wildly. Sometimes you get decent-sized wings with good sauce. Other times you get tiny wings that are mostly bone and skin with barely any meat. The consistency is terrible because they're prioritizing speed and volume over quality control. The sauces are the only thing Buffalo Wild Wings does reasonably well, but even those aren't special. Most sauces are made from commercial bases that you can buy at the grocery store. The secret recipes are just Frank's Red Hot mixed with butter and various seasonings. You could make the same wings at home with better quality chicken for a fraction of the cost. And let's discuss the sides. Frozen French fries and prepackaged coleslaw for $4 to $6 each. These sides cost Buffalo Wild Wings maybe 50 cents to serve, but they charge you $5. The markup on sides is even worse than the wings. The real business model isn't food, it's alcohol. Buffalo Wild Wings makes their real money on beer and cocktails. The wings are just an excuse to get you in the door and drinking. The food quality is secondary to creating an atmosphere where people drink for hours while watching sports. Former employees confirm it. The wing quality was all over the place. Some shipments had big, meaty wings. Others were tiny and pathetic. But we charged the same price regardless. Management didn't care about consistency. They cared about moving volume and selling drinks. You could buy a 3-pound bag of wings at the grocery store for $10, cook them at home with better sauce, and feed 4 people for less than one person's meal at Buffalo Wild Wings. The value proposition is completely broken. Number 1. Outback Steakhouse, the Australian illusion. Outback Steakhouse tops the list for the most misleading restaurant concept in America. It's not Australian. It's an American chain founded in Florida that uses Australian theming to justify charging premium prices for mediocre steaks and frozen sides. The steaks are the biggest disappointment. Outback claims to serve quality beef, but former employees have exposed that the meat is USDA choice at best, often lower grades. The steaks are pre-cut, vacuum-sealed, and shipped frozen. By the time that ribeye hits your plate, it was cut weeks ago at a processing facility. The signature bloomin' onion is a perfect metaphor for Outback's entire operation. It looks impressive, cost $10, and took them maybe $1.50 to make. It's a frozen onion that gets battered with the pre-made mix and deep-fried. Pure profit margin disguised as a signature dish. The sides are universally frozen and reheated. The fresh vegetables, frozen vegetable medley from a bag, the baked potato, microwaved, the mac and cheese, frozen in portions, heated to order. Nothing is made from scratch except maybe the salads, and even those use bagged lettuce. Outback's prices are insulting. A basic sirloin costs $19 to $24. Add sides and drinks, and you're at $35 to $40 per person. For that money, you could buy premium steaks at the grocery store, cook them better at home because Outback's cooks are inconsistent, and have money left over. The Australian theme is pure marketing fiction. The menu items have Australian-inspired names, but the food is generic American steakhouse fare. The decor features Australian imagery, but everything else, the ingredients, the preparation, the recipes, is standard American restaurant food. One former cook revealed, "Nothing about Outback was special." The steaks came vacuum sealed. The sides were all frozen. We followed basic instructions to heat and serve. The only thing Australian about it was the boomerang on the wall. People paid $25 for steaks we just reheated and served with frozen vegetables. The worst part? Outback has convinced people they're getting a quality steakhouse experience. The reality is you're getting slightly better than Applebee's quality at twice the price, wrapped in Australian marketing that means absolutely nothing. The harsh reality check. Here's what all 6 of these restaurants have in common. They're robbing you blind. They've perfected the art of making you feel like you're getting value while delivering frozen, reheated food at massive markups. The atmospheres, the marketing, the signature items, it's all distraction from the fundamental truth that you're wildly overpaying. Let's do the real math. A typical family of four spends $80 to $120 at these restaurants once or twice a week. That's $320 to $960 per month, eating food that's barely better than what you'd microwave at home. Over a year, that's $3,840 to $11,520 spent on mediocre meals. Now imagine if you took that money and used it at grocery stores instead. You could buy premium ingredients, cook better meals at home, and probably save $2,000 to $8,000 annually. That's a vacation. That's a car payment. That's meaningful money being wasted on restaurants that don't respect you enough to serve fresh food. Why staying home wins? Cooking at home doesn't have to be complicated. Even basic cooking skills can produce meals that blow away what these chains serve. A simple pasta dish, a grilled chicken breast, a decent steak with vegetables. These are all easier to make than you think, and taste infinitely better fresh. The cost difference is staggering. A homemade pasta dinner for four costs $12 to $15. The same meal at Olive Garden costs $60 to $80. A home-cooked steak dinner costs $25 to $30. $30. Outback charges $100 or more. You're paying 300% to 400% markups for worse food. The quality is incomparable. Fresh ingredients taste better than frozen. Homemade sauce beats bag sauce every time. A steak you cook yourself will be more tender and flavorful than a pre-cut, vacuum-sealed cut from a chain restaurant. Fresh always wins, and you control everything. The sodium levels, the portion sizes, the ingredients. You know exactly what's going into your food. No hidden preservatives, no excessive salt, no questionable meat quality. For people with dietary restrictions or health concerns, home cooking is the only way to truly know what you're eating. The bottom line: these six restaurants, Olive Garden, Red Lobster, Chipotle, The Cheesecake Factory, Buffalo Wild Wings, and Outback Steakhouse, represent the worst of chain restaurant culture. They've prioritized profits over quality, frozen over fresh, and marketing over honesty. They're betting you won't notice, but now you know. You know about the frozen pasta sauces, the pre-cut steaks, the shrinking portions, the massive markups. You know these places are designed to extract maximum money for minimum quality. You understand the game. The choice is yours. You can keep throwing money at restaurants that don't respect you. Or you can stay home, cook better food for less money, and stop being played by chains that see you as a profit margin instead of a valued customer. Taking action. If you made it this far, you're already ahead of most people. You see through the marketing and understand these restaurants for what they really are: expensive disappointments. Here's what you can do. Learn basic cooking skills. Even mastering 5 simple recipes will save you thousands annually. Compare costs. Before eating out, calculate what the same meal would cost to make at home. The difference will shock you. Invest in your kitchen. A decent pan, a sharp knife, and basic seasonings will serve you better than 100 chain restaurant visits. Share this information. Your friends and family deserve to know they're being scammed too. These restaurants have gotten away with declining quality and rising prices because customers didn't know better. Now you do. Use that knowledge. Bonus: why local restaurants deserve your money instead. Here's something these 6 chains don't want you to consider. Local restaurants are almost always better. When you do decide to eat out, skipping the chains for local, family-owned restaurants isn't just about supporting small business. It's about getting actual quality for your money. Local restaurants typically use fresh ingredients because they can't afford the waste that comes with frozen inventory systems. That Italian place downtown, they're probably making sauce from scratch daily because it's cheaper and better than buying it frozen. The family-owned steakhouse? They're cutting meat fresh because their reputation depends on quality, not marketing budgets. The prices at local restaurants are often comparable or even cheaper than chains. You might pay $16 for a pasta dish at a local Italian restaurant versus $18 at Olive Garden, and the local version will be made fresh with real ingredients. You get more value because you're paying for food, not corporate overhead and shareholder profits. Local restaurants also care about customer feedback in ways chains never will. A bad review or complaint at a local restaurant gets addressed because the owner's livelihood depends on reputation. At a chain, your complaint gets lost in a corporate system that doesn't care. You're just a number to them. The authenticity is incomparable. Want real Italian food? Find a restaurant owned by an Italian family. Want authentic Mexican? Go to the taqueria run by people who actually know the cuisine. Chains fake authenticity. Local restaurants live it. Your money also stays in your community. When you eat at a local restaurant, that money pays local employees, buys from local suppliers, and supports local families. When you eat at Olive Garden, your money goes to a corporation's shareholders. The economic impact of choosing local cannot be overstated. One viewer shared this realization. I spent years eating at Outback thinking $40 per person was normal for steak. Then I tried the local steakhouse everyone recommended. Better steak, fresh sides, attentive service, and the bill was $35 per person. I'd been overpaying for worse food because I didn't know any better. Now I only go to chains when there's literally no other option. The next time you're tempted to hit up one of these 6 chains, do a quick search for local alternatives. You'll almost always find a better option that deserves your business more. And if you're in an area with no good local options, that's when you stay home and cook. Either choice is better than feeding these corporate machines that see you as a profit margin. Now, do me a favor, smash that like button. Subscribe to the hidden menu and tell us in the comments, which of these 6 restaurants surprised you most? Have you noticed the quality decline? At the hidden menu, we believe in eating smart, cooking at home when possible, and demanding better from the restaurants that do deserve your business. Stop getting played by chain restaurants.
And remember, the truth is not always on the menu.